Rotten Tomatoes, the website that tracks all review scores for movies, has a pretty good number for Masters of the Universe. But what if we told you that a pretty good number now tells audiences somehow it might just be bad? We're sad to say that's how things have gone for Rotten Tomatoes and the Hollywood industry. People no longer believe reviewers. They believe everything is cooked behind the scenes. Splat goes Rotten Tomatoes, ladies and gentlemen. It's down, and frowns are being held by audiences as they look for a way to figure out, is a movie really good or not? It's of course following all of the wreckage of critics giving everything they had to destroying films like Michael and Mario, and well, here we go again. What is going to happen with Masters of the Universe? Well, I can tell you, it's going to come down to audiences and not the critics that nobody cares about anymore. Smash that like button and we'll dive into the analytics of how the movie reviewer lost all credibility. And look at this, folks, out of thatparkplace.com from Marvin Montanaro, the man that you want to go to for all of your info about entertainment. Masters of the Universe gets a 78% Rotten Tomatoes score from Hollywood critics. Is that actually a bad sign? Let's find out. It says the first wave of reviews for Masters of the Universe has arrived. The film is currently sitting at a respectable 78% score on Rotten Tomatoes. Under normal circumstances, that would be viewed as good news for Amazon, MGM Studios, and Mattel. The score comfortably in fresh territory suggests critics generally enjoyed what they saw. However, in today's entertainment landscape, many moviegoers have become increasingly skeptical of Hollywood critic scores, leading some fans to ask an unusual question. Is a good Rotten Tomatoes score actually not a positive sign? Masters of the Universe is 78% right now. Marv, you were the man behind this article. Walk us through some of the latest films and how they did with the critics, and why maybe now you want a bad score on Rotten Tomatoes. Maybe a splat is better.
There has never been a greater divide between the Hollywood shill access media and the average movie-going customer. Typically, movies that it is very rare that those two groups are aligned. If they hate something, the audiences love it. If they love something, the audiences typically hate it. A 78% Rotten Tomatoes score from the Hollywood shill access media is essentially a death sentence for this movie. IGN gave it an 8 out of 10 with the tagline, "It was a lot funnier than I thought it would be." And I was like, oh no, because that just means Marvel humor galore. And they released a clip of Skeletor with Evil Lynn, and it was just pure Marvel humor.
Okay, let me ask you this then, Marv, because I've seen some things from the critics that make me have hope. One of the things that the critics who don't like it are saying is that it's only for hardcore fans. And I think sometimes that's coded language for they actually respected the source material. Now, I don't know. I've not seen it yet at the time of this recording. But Marv, take this and see what you think about it. I actually think that they would have rated Mandalorian Grogu like super high, except that there was no girl boss. And the only female representation in the movie was Sigourney Weaver. And so I think the entire reason they slammed Mando came down to that.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. I think that it was all like, because typically when you're looking at these shill access media critics, they're constantly trying to give you the political angle on it. Yeah, with this movie though, I've liked every trailer. I've enjoyed what I've seen. I want to like it, but when I saw that 78% and that 8 out of 10 from IGN, my heart just sank. I was like, oh no, this is probably gonna be bad. Look at what they've done recently. Super Mario Brothers movie, Super Mario Galaxy movie. They hated it. Audience loved it.
Yep.
Michael, they gave Michael like a 40%, and audience gave it a 96%.
Ravaged Michael because they wanted it to be something different. They wanted stuff in the movie that would have made almost nobody able to go see it, and the few who did, unable to stomach it.
But they gave Starfleet Academy an 88% when audiences gave it like a 40-something.
Yep.
They gave Cuties a huge score when audiences tanked it. They gave Ironheart a great score and audiences tanked it. So it is just the constant struggle between the shill access media critics and the actual customers that they are supposed to serve, because they're not serving those customers anymore. And it's very obvious. There's a huge divide between what those two like Siskel and Ebert, you used to be able to trust what they said. They were just like you. They went to the movies and you could take their thumbs up or thumbs down as a proof of quality. But man, when it comes to critics nowadays, like you have people like Grace Randolph telling you what to go watch, it's a rough time out there.
So, Culture, this is fascinating to me that now we have arrived at a place in time. And remember that Rotten Tomatoes started going through massive changes after Last Jedi because we were told that that was Russian bots and trolls and, vocal minority. And then it went under changes again to prevent people from saying bad things because of the Marvels. And now, after this, what, 8-year, 9-year change of Rotten Tomatoes, Marv is suggesting, and I'm not so far off from this, we think that maybe if it gets a good review, people say, oh, must be terrible. And if it gets a bad review, people say, must be great. It's like Rotten Tomatoes has become the Jim Cramer of movie reviews.
Yeah, I think that's an astute observation. That's why I really appreciated Marv's article. It's why it's going to be a video tomorrow. I have to tell you that, I trust places like Critic. I say this in the video that's releasing tomorrow. If you want to find out what films are good, you go to an aggregator that actually aggregates you and not professional access media people. And that's the problem. I'm sorry, if you are access media, if you're relying on the access to get to something early so that you can review it, you really are, nothing more than a shill, because they're going to expect you to treat them kindly, or they're not going to let you have access to their early access anymore. And that's why, again, a lot of people feel like many of these folks, there may be a few that aren't compromised, but I can tell you right now that I'm going to trust Film Threat 1,000 times more than I'm going to trust anybody over at Rotten Tomatoes. And the other problem is they really do lock it down in a way that is uncomfortable. Like, to be a verified reviewer, you have to jump through all their hoops and you have to give them all your personal information and everything else. And that's, first of all, more anonymous people are likely to give you their true feelings than people who have to give you all that other rigmarole. And I have to tell you, I was very much looking forward to the campiness of this film. I think leaning into the ridiculous of it all was certainly the best path, and it reminded me of the things I appreciated in my childhood, and my siblings also appreciated. But this is a cultural touchstone for people of our generation, or my generation in particular, maybe Marv's as well. I know definitely Tom out in the chat and everybody else. I'm going to just say this was a cultural touchstone, just like the Turtles were. So if they screw this up, this might be everybody's last straw when it comes to this particular, this particular entity. Have they erred on the wrong side of things for a long time? Yes. Did they maybe get Trevor Salke out early enough that this won't be ruined? Maybe. Can this restore anybody's faith in what comes out of Rotten Tomatoes? Possibly, but it all relies on people who are seeing this film early on Wednesday and Thursday, like myself, who are going to review it and tell you the truth. Marvin's going to tell the truth. I'm going to tell the truth. I don't think you're capable of telling anything but the truth. So.
The truth as we see it, guys. We're going to go see the movie, and we're going to give you our subjective opinions. If it differs from yours, well, that's fine. We're all allowed to have our own opinions on things. Like when your opinion on quality is entirely subjective, what is objective reality are things like numbers.
Or a girl boss.
Yeah.
Or,
Carol, let me throw you kind of a curveball, just because I know you always can hit it out of the park. I kind of think this is proof positive that all of the attempts to manipulate the market ultimately fail in the kind of society that we have. And I think that X is the reason for it this time. Because, Carol, I think that what Elon did is he made there be a place where all the best attempts to manipulate Facebook and Rotten Tomatoes and all this kind of stuff, we can just go tell the truth on X. If everything else falls apart, and I know it's not a perfect platform, I know some people still get in trouble on X in ways they shouldn't, but it's this place that you can go and just say, here's what I think about this movie. And that meant that none of this worked because people could go search for the movie on X and bypass all of the fake reviews and all the fake, audience scores. I think it's just proof, Carol, that you can't manipulate the market long term.
I think the industry is under a false assumption that the market is dumber than it actually is. One of the things that I usually tell anybody, whether they work in TV, film, publishing, whatever, is that thanks to the internet and the ease at which we can go forth and learn things, our audiences are actually way more savvy about, pretty much anything that they decide that they want to be savvy at, whether you know, even though we might like shun them for looking something up on Wikipedia or something like that, the fact that they went and looked it up on Wikipedia says a lot. And we're just entering, I mean, like, I think the other thing that they're not aware of is that we're very keyed into how we're being manipulated, right? Because before, if we think about it, like we used to watch like, you know, commercials, and commercials would have a guy in a doctor's suit and there'd be a graph behind him and be like, oh, he seems like he's an authority figure, we should listen to him. But now we don't trust it. We all think it's staged. And it's reaching to a point where people are wanting to, again, protect both themselves, their interests, and their time and resources. And now we're exceptionally skeptical, especially after all of this manipulation and gaslighting that the audience has gone through. Any good faith that these critics and the industry had prior is gone, because at this point, everything that they do and say is suspect, which is why we see these bipolar reviews that come from critics and fans. And I've seen some folks that come out and say that people will try and bomb the movie because of something that an actress said, right? Which goes back to the whole smokescreen comment that I usually mention, where they'll sacrifice somebody on the cast to, like, you know, go and deflect criticism of a film in order to try and force people to watch it and spend their money when they would rather not do it. And it's a really sad tactic. And I think at some point, no, they're not going to get a clue. I was about to be like, I think they'll figure it out. I think that, no, they're not. And so it's just going to turn into, they're going to lose more money. They're going to scramble more. They're going to look more desperate. And we're not going to be any more interested than we were yesterday. So that's my, did I hit the curveball? Did I okay?
Grand slam, Carol,
Okay.
grand slam.
Okay.
And I'll tell you this, I'll add this on there. I want Masters of the Universe to be good. I want it to make a lot of money. I always want these films to do good. I'm never rooting for something to fail. But in particular, I want this one to win because I feel like, you know, fans of this franchise have been done so dirty in the last decades.
He-Man. I love He-Man. I really want to go and like it. I really, really, really do.
So I also really want to like this movie. I really am hopeful. But you know, like they put out that scene that was just a pure Marvel humor, and everyone's like, well, Skeletor's supposed to be funny. I'm like, I don't think that's the way Skeletor was funny. Right. I don't remember that much about the original. It was a little before my time, but
He-Man's in a worse place than this other franchise I'll mention, but it's kind of like the Turtles, right? I would love that. Nothing would make me happier than for there to be a really good Ninja Turtle movie that harkens back to the 80s cartoons, the comics, and the the live action Jim Henson animatronics. I know those are not the same. I'm not trying to suggest that. I'm just saying, like, if we could somehow take all of that and make it into this really cool cohesive thing, man, I would be so happy. And, you know, same thing with He-Man right now, although it's far more damaged. I want it to be good. I'm worried. And I find it interesting that now we've come to the place where when the critics say it's good, we all go,
must be.
Nope. Must be trash.
You know what else I bet the critics liked? If I look it up on Rotten Tomatoes, I bet you it's got a positive score. That Kevin Smith Masters of the Universe cartoon. I guarantee.
Can you look, Marv? You're right. We can't
right now.
Get it before we go. Culture, anything we missed on this one?
They may have cast Allison Brie properly for a change. So I'm sorry. I'm going to try to find positive things. Guys, everybody accused me of always being negative. But I always tried to tell you, if the film's
Who accuses you of being negative?
Him?
Oh,
Marv, whoa, Marv, you're going to have to share your screen. That laugh means we got to share the screen. Hang on, folks. We'll bring it up.
Wait, while he does that, I do want to agree with Real Life Fake Wizard that this film should do well, because if He-Man does really well, then we get a She-Ra.
Yeah, which I'm hoping they cast.
All the more reason for this movie to tank.
But it's the ultimate girl boss, babe. Isn't that what they want to
Is Wizard out there? Is Wizard starting to riot somehow? Where's he at? Hang on a second. Let me get this.
We need Sydney Sweeney in the She-Ra role. That's what we need.
Look at this guy out there. What are you trying? Wiz, what are you trying to start? All right, let's see what you got, Marv. Here we go, folks. 3, 2, 1.
Boom. 95%.
That's it.
You know, I'm just going to go, I'm going back to writing fan fiction.
That's it.
That's what I'm going to do. Like, I can't stand this.
Segment's over.
To 52%.
Segment's over. We can't add anything to that. As ever, folks, we endeavor to have a good time here on the Pro Channel, and I have to say that spending time with you, talking about things that truly matter, Like the stories that shape our lives and our culture, well, it is the ride of a lifetime to steal from Bob Iger. And that's the only thing we'll steal from Bob because he has great security around his yacht. Folks, as we get ready to say goodbye, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, click it, and stick it to the algorithms. It is the notification bell. Drop a comment right on down below. Let us know your thoughts. We would love to hear from you. And folks, worry not, for more content is still on the way. 3 or 4 times a day, let's do 4. I think that's better. And you know what? Don't forget that the Pro Show is live Tuesdays and Thursdays at noon Eastern. You can also join us for our friends on That Park Place, our partner program. We have a good time there too. Folks, until the next time we get the opportunity to have a good time with you, keep learning, keep growing, and as ever, keep having fun.